It's really got to be drilled.
He's got him on his back.
When we talk about a low single leg,
Lightning fast.
In this video, we're going to take a look at some of the things we are likely to see in a Mesenbrink versus O'Toole matchup, which I hope we get to see at NCAAs. They haven't wrestled all year, and they've pretty much beaten everybody else, so hopefully we get to see it. Let's take a look. All right, let's talk about their hand fight. So Mesenbrink, he typically wants left-hand collar, and then he uses his right hand to either clear or control wrist on the right side. He's looking for attacks with his right hand the whole time. Pretty much, if the guy's hands come up, he can go underneath and attack. If their hands come over top of his collar, he's looking for his ear snap. With his right hand on the wrist, he can look for his wrist snap. So pretty much his home base is going to be kind of left hand collar and right hand free. O'Toole's hand fight position is pretty similar. His home base is pretty much left hand collar and then right hand free. He uses his right hand to just clear that side a lot, making sure the guy can't control anything on that side. And again, if hands come over top, he can hit his little duck or his knee pull. Lots of different options for him when guys' hands come up. They both want similar position. So how's this hand fight going to play out? All right, so they both want left hand collar tie. O'Toole is going to look to clear that collar tie off over and over and over again and look for his openings that way. And Mesenbrink will likely do the same. It might be in more of the form of snaps, or he might even leave it on there and use it to attack. Again, it's going to be a battle for collar ties with their left hand, and then within that battle is where we're going to start to see the openings come. One other factor to look at in their hand fight is how aggressive they are. So Mesenbrink is just a hyper aggressive pressure monster, right? He takes ground. He snaps a lot. He puts the heat on guys in his hand fight. O'Toole, he does similar things. He's aggressive, but I would call him more patient. So I think there's an interesting dynamic that's going to play out between those two styles where O'Toole is going to stay patient and control position, or at least attempt to, and Mesenbrink is going to attempt to push the pace and maybe make it a little chaotic. And I'm interested to see if O'Toole can use that to his advantage or if it's going to cause him problems. All right, let's kind of look at their offense options and how they're going to stack up. Mesenbrink has a couple options he goes to a lot. First one being his inside step knee pull single leg. Typically when the guy's leading their right leg, that's what he's hitting. The guy's left leg, he will do his outside step double or high crotch option. And then he'll throw in a drag to that right side as well every now and then. O'Toole, he has the same kind of knee pull option when guys are leading right leg. When guys are heavy left leg lead, he tends to be low single. They're leading either leg, he can do his little duck that he's been doing, which is really nice. He will also use a drag, but it's mostly for misdirection back to the other side. Both guys tend to be right leg leads, which means we're probably going to see their kind of inside step knee pull option a lot. I'd say their right leg lead probably 80% of the time, and their left leg is in front maybe 20%. All right. Mesenbrink is probably going to be looking for his outside step double as well, but it'll be finished toward O'Toole's right leg a little bit, as we can see. They both use drags in their offense. Mesenbrink uses his and attacks with his drag, whereas O'Toole kind of uses his drag as more of a misdirection setup, where he'll go drag side and then back the other direction. I don't really think anyone has a specific advantage in their leg attacks. I hope we see them take a ton of them, which I think we will. That way we get to see a bunch of scrambles and some of the neutral defense stuff, which is where I think the match is going to be determined. All right, let's take a look at some of their counterattacks and defensive stuff they got. Mesenbrink typically does go behind to the right side. He has a little Iranian whip option from short offense. You don't see him do it that much, but every now and then. And then when the guys get to his legs, he scrambles. You either don't touch his legs or it's a scramble basically. O'Toole, same thing as Mesenbrink. He goes right side, go behind. And then when guys get to his legs, he's a little more traditional defense, sprawl, but with cradles in mind, basically. So he's looking for cradles off his defense when guys get to his legs. Let's look at what happens when they miss or get in front headlock situations. Both guys typically start their counter offense motion to the right, and then they either adjust or run down that angle. I doubt we'll see a bunch of clean go behinds. I think that most of the time it'll end up being a reset, or one of the guys gets to like an anchor point on their leg and then it becomes a scramble. Hopefully we get to see each guy on the other guy's legs a lot. I just don't see this being a boring non-attacking match. So if Mesenbrink gets to O'Toole's legs, he needs to be looking for a double leg type finish, getting to 2 legs as quick as he can, or even to a body lock position to limit some of O'Toole's scramble options. There is one position that Mesenbrink gets into kind of often that could put him in danger against O'Toole. He makes his head inside to outside adjustment that might lead to a cradle option from O'Toole. But Mesenbrink seems to wrestle through that position pretty well, so who knows. It is a position that I would be worried about if I was Mesenbrink, though. All right, let's take a look at some things we might see on the mat now. I mean, both of them on bottom are pretty standard and rather boring, I suppose. They both just quad pod stand up and are really good at it. I mean, it's effective and they're really good at it. All right, so be ready to see some quad pod stand ups on bottom. On top, Mesenbrink does kind of the ankle hook transitions. He'll go head lever, cross face, looking for arm bars and putting the guy's arm on his back. O'Toole does some ankle hook stuff. He likes crossbody and likes far side cradle stuff. I actually doubt that mat wrestling will play a huge factor in this match unless it's in the form of like a riding time point. I mean, they both have the ability to ride the other. I mean, like I said, both guys tripod or quad pod stand-ups are really good, so it's unlikely that we're going to see a lot of mat wrestling. But there hasn't really been a match where Mesenbrink hasn't got an armbar or put the guy's arm on his back. I mean, maybe a couple, but most of the time he's getting an armbar or getting the guy's arm on their back, and he rides really hard. On the flip side, there was one match where Mesenbrink looked like he was in a little trouble in a position that O'Toole was pretty good in against Hefner. Right here, he kind of goes leg in, crossbody, and cradle, and where Hefner couldn't finish this cradle, O'Toole might be able to. So there are some chances for some turns, but again, I think it's unlikely. I think this is going to be mostly a neutral, high pace, high scramble match.